And now it's time for Money Matters. We're joined by Matt Dicken, CEO and founder of Strategic Wealth Designers, to talk about preparing a will.
Matt, a lot of people don't have a will. So what is the reason that you should have one in place in the first place?
Well, I think probably the biggest reason is, especially when we live here in the state of Kentucky, most people don't realize that if you pass away without a will, the state of Kentucky provides you with a will. So every citizen actually has one. And it's not anything that you would ever want. Usually you think if you're married, if you pass away, everything's going to go to your spouse. That's not necessarily how it works here in the state of Kentucky. If you have siblings, they could actually get some of your money before your children or, again, your significant other. So everybody needs to have a will to protect your children and to protect your assets.
So when do you really need to do this? Is it important when you're 30, or do you wait until you're much older than that?
Well, I think as soon as you have any assets whatsoever, then getting a will is really important. But especially once you have some of those life events that happen, getting married, having children, that's when it becomes more significant and more important. But it's not something that I think younger viewers should really put off. As soon as you have any money in the bank, or you buy a car or a home, things like that, if something were to happen to you, then you don't want your relatives to have to argue what you would want. You want to have a document that spells it out for them.
Are there some potential trouble spots or actions that you should take as it regards
what we see as individuals trying to really overthink it. So I think probably just keeping things as simple as you possibly can, the better. And then in addition to having a will for when you pass away, we always recommend that you have a living will as well, because it's more likely that you're going to have some sort of an event where maybe you're incapacitated for some period of time, if there's an accident or something of that nature. And again, you want your family, significant others to know exactly what your wishes would be, so they don't have to really fight and argue over it. So it's not fun to talk about or think about, but as long as you maybe have these conversations every time you have a life event, have a child, get married, things like that, or maybe 5 to 10 years, that's usually what we recommend.
You can be more at peace knowing that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I would assume that you need to revisit that at times in your life.
Yeah, occasionally estate planning laws will change. It's rare that major changes occur, but occasionally that does happen. So every 5 to 10 years, if you just update it, then that's often enough typically.
Your advice, get it done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks for coming. And Matt, we appreciate you very much. And you can learn more ways to make your money matter on WKYT.com.
And if you have something you want us to discuss, send an email to news@WKYT.com. We'll talk about it here.